Yo, what is going on, everyone? It's GentooMan here, also known as Rainy, and in today's video, I want to talk about Late Night with the Devil. Now, Late Night with the Devil is directed by Cameron and Colin Cairns, I believe I've pronounced that correctly. I'm sorry if I didn't, and stars David Dastmalchian as Jack Delroy, a talk show host in the 1970s who hosts a very special event on his Halloween episode that ends up shocking the nation. Now, I just want to hop right in and just say right out of the gate, this movie was fucking awesome. Like, this movie was so good. I remember seeing the trailer for it not even that long ago, and it really intrigued me, you know? Like, I love when a horror trailer comes out for a horror game or a horror movie or whatever it may be that has an interesting idea, you know? It's a different take. And I could have just missed it, but from what I know, I don't think late night TV talk show horror has been done that much. So this really intrigued me. It was a really cool and interesting premise. And that premise and that setup absolutely worked in this film. It literally felt like you're just watching like a late night show. Like you're watching like Late Night with like one of the 16 Jimmys that does late night shows. Like there's the occasional cuts to the behind the scenes footage, which are really cool because they're like in black and white, whereas the rest of the movie's in color. But the parts that are in color genuinely feel like you're watching a show. It doesn't feel like it's just set on the show. It feels like you are watching this show. It is set up very, very well. Another thing in this movie is that the scares were very, very effective. Something this reminds me a lot of is analog horror, which is a very big trend right now, or at least it was on the internet, with like, you know, being the old like recovered videotapes and like just you know what I mean. If you're a horror fan on the internet right now, you know what analog horror is. It's stuff like the Mandela Catalog and things like that. This definitely sort of falls into that vibe in a sense. And if you enjoy those things, I think that would also make you enjoy this movie a lot. But I think what makes me enjoy analog horror as much as I do is the atmosphere and the setup of the scares, because it's not just jump scares. Like, I don't know if many of you watched my video on Immaculate, and what I said about that movie is I really liked the vibes of it, and I liked a lot of things going on, but it felt like the best scares they had in that movie were all jump scares. They didn't really utilize the atmosphere or any clever little scares. This movie, however, really did that. I felt it really used its atmosphere, it used its setting to come up with, like, clever little ways to, like, scare and unsettle the audience. Like, I don't really want to get into them because it would spoil the movie, but, like, they were all very well done. And this movie also doesn't feel like it overstays its welcome or it overcomplicates its plot. Like there's parts of the plot that it like gets into but doesn't get into, if that makes sense. Like they bring something up and they make it make sense, but they don't show you the entire event. Also, the movie is only about an hour and a half. I think it's like 93 minutes, something like that. So it's not too long, but man, those 93 minutes suck you in and do not let go. And all the performances were fantastic. Every single actor in this movie was giving it their all, and it just pulled it all together. All the performances were great. Though I do guess we have to move on now to the controversy about this movie. So this would fall under the bad section because truthfully, I don't have too much bad to say about this movie. But the controversy about this movie, if you have not heard about it, is due to its use of AI-generated art. Which I do have to say, yes, it's there, and it's kind of obvious that it's there. There's parts of the movie that cut to a "we'll be right back" or something like that screen, you know, like from a TV show. And it's just like this cool, like 70s-esque art saying that we'll be right back, but it's definitely AI-generated art. Now, this is a problem, and I personally have a problem with this as well, because as someone who would like to work in the film industry, that very well could have been somebody's job, making those title screens. Like, it's not even that difficult. I mean, it is, like, art's hard, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't really warrant using an AI to make them when they could have had a human do it. So I don't love the fact that they did use the AI in this movie. However, from what I understand, I think this movie was fairly low budget. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. And if that is the case, it's possible that they were already over budget or going to go over budget and simply couldn't afford an artist to do those things. And do I think that makes it right for them to use AI? Not necessarily, but I can say I understand It could have been a choice from the directors, the producers. It could have come directly from the studio. I'm not sure whose choice it was, but we all know what studio interference is. It's entirely possible that the directors were told, like, this is how you need to do this, like, you're already over budget. Whatever it may have been, there could be a good reason for it. With that being said, though, this is a trend that I hope does not continue. I hope that jobs in the film industry for like art and writing are not taken over by AI. As someone who likes art but isn't good at it, and someone who really, really enjoys writing stories, I would really hate to see those jobs go to an AI instead of an actual person. And I totally agree with that. And I know a lot of people feel the same about how AI should not have been used in this movie. And I can agree with that. However, I don't necessarily agree with the review bombing. I don't think this movie should be review bombed for its use of AI. I can understand the frustration. Trust me, I'm frustrated as well. However, there's still so many people who worked so hard to put together this movie. The actors, the people behind the scenes, the director, the writer, the crew, everybody who worked so hard on this movie just to get it review bombed because of a little bit of AI, which again, I don't love. I really don't. However, I don't think it's grounds to completely boycott the movie. That's just my personal opinion. If that's how you feel, that is perfectly okay. I understand. I think that's a valid feeling to have. Just personally, I don't think it's necessary. Because at the end of the day, the filmmakers here made a fucking fantastic movie. This movie was great. It was one of the best horror movies I have seen in a very, very long time. It was so good. And if you like horror movies, if you like original horror movies, if you're like me and you have found a lack of good horror recently, check this one out. Do yourself a favor and check it out. Anyways, guys, that is going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you're new. You all know the drill at this point. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. Later.